Hello, grade 7. How are you? Hope you are good. I miss you so much. Today we are going to start with a new lesson, which is reduction of fractions. It's lesson 8. The objectives of our session is to apply the 4 operations on fractions, which are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Before we start, we are going to review the parts of a fraction. A fraction consists of a numerator, which is the number up, and denominator, which is the number down. Let's also recall the equivalent fractions because we also need them during the operations. Equivalent fractions, from the word equivalent, equal fractions, it means we have fractions that they are equal in value but they have different shape. Similar to these fractions, these are equivalent fractions to half. They have same value but different in shape. More example, let's see.
Making equivalent fractions. 3/4. 3/4, 3/4. What if I make an equivalent fraction using a factor of 2? Whatever I do to the top, I've got to do to the bottom. 3 times 2 is 6, the new numerator, over 4 times 2 is 8, the new denominator. Or I could use 3. 3 times 3 is 9, over 4 times 3 is 12. I could use 5. 3 times 5 is 15, over 4 times 5 is 20. I can use any factor I choose to make an equivalent fraction as long as I multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the same number, then I'm doing it right.
Okay, now we are going to talk about the first operation, which is addition of fractions. To add two fractions, we have to follow 2 steps. The first, I have to add the numerators and I have to keep the same denominator, but I have a condition. To add any 2 fractions, they must have same denominators. They must have same denominator. Similar to this example, 1/4 plus 2/4, we add the numerators to get 3 and keep the same denominator, which is 4. But what if I don't have same denominator? What to do? I have to make same denominator by finding their equivalent fractions. To make it more clear, let's see this video.
Adding fractions with a common denominator. You can see the denominator is unchanged. It stays as parts out of 8. So you can see when you add fractions, if the denominator is the same, you keep it and just add the numerators. In this example, we've got 6 parts out of 10 plus 2 parts out of 10. 6 plus 2 is 8 parts out of 10. But then I can say to you, I want you to reduce your fraction to its lowest terms. If you've watched my other films on fractions so far, you'll say to yourself, I know what to do here. 8 and 10 are both even numbers, so they can be divided by 2. I can simplify this fraction. And when you divide top and bottom by 2, you get 4/5. That is a simplified fraction. It is now reduced to its lowest terms. The rule is, if you can reduce a fraction to its lowest terms, have a Nike moment and just do it. It's easy to add fractions that have the same denominator, so we make it easy by creating a common denominator for these fractions. You've seen me do that before. You've done it yourself. You know what to do. We've got denominators of 4 and 2. Our common denominator is going to be 4. To get a denominator of 4 here, we multiply by 2. So we do the same to the numerator. And that's 2/4. Now it's very easy. We just add the numerators. 1 plus 2 is 3. keep the denominator, and we're all done.
Let's see one more example of this method. Let's add the fractions 7 over 8 and 3 over 10. Our common denominator for this problem is going to be 80, because that's what we get when we multiply the denominators together. 8 times 10 equals 80. We'll multiply our 7 over 8 by the whole fraction 10 over 10, and we'll multiply our 3 over 10 by the whole fraction 8 over 8. Then, when we do our multiplication, the 8 times 10 will give us 80 on the bottom of both fractions. For the top of the first fraction, we have 7 times 10 equals 70. And the top of the second fraction, we have 3 times 8 equals 24. Now that we have like fractions, we can just add the top numbers. 70 plus 24 equals 94. And keep the bottom number the same, 80. So, 7 over 8 plus 3 over 10 equals 94 over 80.
Okay, now we are going to talk about subtraction of fractions. How to subtract two fractions. Similarly to the addition of fractions, I must have same denominator. To make the idea more clear, please check this video.
Fraction subtraction. First, we learned to add fractions. So now we learn to subtract them. And if you can add fractions, you'll have no problem with You can see the denominators in our problem are the same. We keep the same denominator in our answer, and we only use subtraction for the numerators. This is just like when we add fractions with the same denominator. The denominator stays, and with the numerator, 8 minus 2 is 6, 6/9. Notice anything? 6 and 9 are both in the 3 times table, so we can reduce this fraction. 6 over 9 reduces to 2 over 3, 2/3. What about when you get fractions with different denominators, like this pair? Well, just like adding fractions, subtraction is easy when you have a common denominator. So we make one. Our denominators are 10 and 5. The common denominator is 10. Put that in the answer now. We multiply 5 by 2 to get 10, so we multiply the numerator by 2, and that gives us 6/10. Now subtract the numerator. 9 minus 6 is 3, 3/10. One last example, then it's over to you. 3/4 minus 1/6. Remember, always check your denominators first. When they're different, we have to make a common denominator. 4 is not a factor of 6, so both denominators are going to change. Think about multiples of 4 and multiples of 6. 12 is in both sets of multiples, so 12 is the lowest common denominator. Put it in the answer now. We multiply 4 by 3 to get 12, so we do the same to the numerator. 3 times 3 is 9. And for 1/6, we multiply 6 by 2 to get 12, so we do the same up top. 2 over 12. And now we work with the numerators. 9 minus 2, that's 7 over 12. We can't reduce this fraction, so we're all done.
Now, the third idea, how to multiply two fractions. It's very easy. To multiply two fractions, I have to follow two steps. 1. Multiply the numerators. 2. Also multiply the denominators. 3. Reduce. It means I have to make division to the answer if it is possible. To take more examples, please check the video.
Let's do another one, and this time we'll try it without the diagram. 2/3 times 3/5. We know that we can multiply the numerators together now, so top times top. 2 times 3 is 6. Then multiply the denominators together, bottom times bottom. That's 15. 6 over 15. Is that it? Nope, we have to reduce if possible, and 6 and 15 are both in the 3 times table. They're divisible by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. Our final answer is 2 over 5, 2/5. Remember, if we can reduce the fraction for our final answer, we must reduce it. Otherwise, you only get half marks because you only did half the job.
Okay, the last idea, which is dividing two fractions. To divide two fractions, I have to follow 4 steps. 1, keep it in your mind, I can't divide any two fractions. I can't divide them. I can't divide 2 by 4. So what to do? 1, I have to change the division sign into multiplication. Make this one multiplication. 2, change the second fraction to its reciprocal. Turn it upside down. I have to flip this fraction upside down. So this will be the numerator and this one will be the denominator, like this example. Step 3, here I can multiply these two fractions. 1 times 4 equal 4 and 2 times 1 it's equal to 2. The last step, similar to the multiplication of fractions, I have to reduce the answer if it is possible. Okay, 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. Okay, take more examples in this video.
Fractions division. 3/5 divided by 1/3. Our fraction on the left stays the same. We get the reciprocal of the right-hand fraction. We flip it, and that gives us 3 over 1. When we invert that fraction, we also use the inverse operation. Swap the sign from divide to multiply. Now, it's not possible to reduce this problem, so we're going to go straight to multiplying out. Top times top gives us 9 over bottom times bottom is 5.
Now, after explanation the 4 operations of fractions and watching the videos, please open your book on page 90 and try to solve exercise number 1 on your copy book. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.